Revelation 1795. From the 30th of January 1941. Signs of the world catastrophe. Every world catastrophe is preceded by signs so that humanity can recognize its approach, for God at all times has proclaimed them through His Word, and by paying attention to these signs you will know that now the time has come, and thus you also know that you have to prepare yourselves so that you will not be heading towards total destruction. Whatever God does, and thus also allows to come upon earth, is determined by humanity's will, that is, human will does not directly draw the catastrophe near, but its wrongness is the reason for it. Human will is misused on such a scale that a world catastrophe has to be the inevitable consequence of it, for this misguided will can only be directed onto the right track by something completely unexpected, effectively by something unnatural. Hence, the more the human will moves into the wrong direction, the more urgent becomes the divine intervention, for precious earthly time is passing by without providing the being with the necessary higher development. Misused will, however, can never support higher development but only prevent it. The events of the time, the ever-increasing unbelief, the anti-Christian efforts and the messengers of His Word which are spiritually awakened by God ought to remind you that the time has come which the Lord mentioned on earth. And thus you shall be diligent and consider your soul's salvation. And regardless of how implausible it seems to you that a disaster is intended to occur on earth, just bear in mind that nothing is impossible for God, that everything can happen if it is God's will. And the fact that it is God's will is based on people's own behavior, on their wrong attitude towards Him. If earthly life is given to people for a specific purpose but they fail to live in accordance with this purpose, then they will let a divine gift of grace go by unused, and God will warn them just once more with stern words which no one can ignore. Human will alone is the reason for a work of destruction of inconceivable proportions, and when the Lord proclaimed this He foresaw people's wrong will. Yet it is His will to win back misguided humanity, and therefore He applies the last resort, which certainly seems to be an act of infinite cruelty. Nevertheless, it is only motivated by divine love and mercy, for countless people will attain realization, and they will be saved for all eternity. Amen.